Good evening, students. In continuation of our discussion on into the subject of environmental sciences, we are going to talk about the objectivity of the national policy on environment or ecology. Students, in the last session, we had, though it was a very small video session, we had talked about what is the great importance of such national policies into the environment area, or what is the great need of a national policy for environment and ecology. And we have understood what is this policy is all about. So within this particular session, now we shall be able to talk about the objectives and further principles of such national policy by which this policy is made up for. So without any delay, let us proceed with the particular session. Students, as we had talked about the session, in the previous session, we had talked about the national policy for the environment, or national policy on the environment have got certain objectives, and these are the key objectives by which we as a nation have to decide for the conservation, preservation, and the environmental upgradation aspects at a national level. As per the act, or as per the parliament, or the different states, with the help of different authorities by the name of the institutions, mainly the research institutions, they had dealt on this matter very seriously. Therefore, there are certain objectives to be achieved by that particular national draft on environmental policy. The main meaningful ideas are like that we are going to talk about. First of all, it will talk about the conservation of critical environmental resources. As we have studied, or we have an idea that environment is the sum total, or environmental conditions, especially the living conditions onto the planet Earth, commonly are being ensured by certain resources. And these resources are being called as critical environmental resources. They may be understood as water, soil, the minerals, the chemicals, the habitats, and the whole sum of ecosystem which is dependent on one to the another, that needs to be conserved at the end. Because we are conserving those elements or the resources, by conserving them, we are trying to conserve the whole sum of essence called common future of ours. Because these minerals, these resources are core responsible for our livelihood. For all living beings or anything onto the planet Earth is solely dependent on those resources. Therefore, the conservation is required. On the different note, this objective fulfill the aspect of preserving those resources from pollutant or the pollutions. Therefore, there are certain assumptions or guidelines in this national policies by which we have to ensure, or state have to ensure, that the resources of critical nature, environmental nature needs to be preserved, and they need to be maintained in such a way, or such practice needs to be avoided by which any substance or any resource, meaningful resource, is going to dilute or divert in the pollutant or toxicant. Therefore, this is what one of the primary or one of the most important objective of this particular policy. The second point which have been considered by the policymaker is the intra-generational equality. That is, in terms of livelihood, security for the poorer masses. If we talk about the entire ecosystem, or if we talk about the sustainable aspect, there are two things to be commonly talked about: environment for all. We have stated that environment have given the equal opportunity for every masses. for every individual, for every living being. But in terms of the social division of those resources, it is what the social dimension needs to be defined this particular cycle. Therefore, this particular policy gives a lot of impression or emphasis about intra-generation equity, that meant for people, those are the living beings, people, those are the animal beings, or there are the interrelationship of the generation for the living beings, whether it is mankind or the other kind of beings that talked about, that needs to be secured with their livelihood and the security for the poorer masses. As far as animals are concerned, animal and plants being dependent onto the nature, but of course the man or the creature called human being is solely responsible for the actions onto the planet Earth. Therefore, this intragenerational equity states about the maximum opportunity towards the livelihood or security for the poorer or other living beings. Poorer, here there are two meanings of this particular word. The poor masses, what we are talking about, social system in the humanity, and also the poorer in terms of the other living beings, those are dependent on the ecology or environment as whole. The third point, which have been considered by the policymaker in terms of the objectivity of this particular national environmental policy, is intergenerational equality. If we talk about the equality or equity, it is what the momentum that we need to talk about. In first unit, when we talk about the ecosystem, or we have talked about the environmental dependency on certain resources, then we need to talk about, we need to create a certain equilibrium where the generations are going to share the common aspects. They needs to be provided the equal opportunity. They also needs to be provided the resources for forthcoming generation, and that is what the essence of sustainability is all about. Therefore, we as the first generation, second generation, or third generation, we need to ensure that there should be equal opportunity in terms of environment as a capacity for the forthcoming generation. Then next point is integration of environmental concern in economic and social development. Whenever we talk about the environment have to be understood in three dimensions, that is called sustainability, environment, society, and economy. Whenever we start talking about the environment needs to be reciprocated or integrated with society and economy such a way where it is going to benefit each other. That meant for environment needs to benefit to the economy needs to be benefited to the environment, so as needs to be given the benefit for the social development, but this social development also needs to ensure the development called environmental upgradation. So this is what the most important objectivity of this national policy is all about. Next objectivity considered by the policymaker, it is efficiency in environmental resources use. We need to be efficient enough while using of those environmental resources, because we are sharing the common future, or we are sharing the common resources which have got the right of ours so as the right of the others. We always used to state this word for the mankind, but unfortunately, we need to talk this particular phenomena into the quest of the other living beings, mainly the plants, the herbs, the vegetation, flora, fauna, and wildlife animal and other living animal beings, whether they are there in the aquaterian life, living in an aquaterian life, or the life on the planet in the different species mode. So it is very important for all of us, or especially to mankind, to efficiently use the national or international resources of environmental reputation. We have water, we have rivers, we have oceans, we have glaciers, but if we are consuming this into the benefit of the social development, or the equitable distribution among the all sort of communities, then prosperity may be lies. Otherwise, there are certain problems may be created by the name of environmental disorders, or it may be by the name of social disorders, and so on, the economic disorders. So therefore, the policymakers of country had tried to elaborate this policy in a very important objectivity of using efficiently. Next is environmental governance. I thought this particular point or objectivity is being considered recently, because we have talked about governance a lot, but environmental propagation of government is not being discussed so much. I will try to quote certain examples from the recent past where we have witnessed a lot of tragedies, a lot of bad news by the name of certain climatic disorders being created, but the outcome or grass cause root of those disorders was man-made. Therefore, environmental governance is seriously an important aspect, because environment is such not a local issue nowadays. It is very much international, global, or national arena topic, and therefore the governance needs to be taken care for everything or anything which is related to the environment. We must not do at the stake of the environment anything or everything that may be counted as tourism also. Next objectivity which the policymakers have considered, that is enhancement of resources for environmental conservation. Enhancement of resources meant for we need not only to conserve that is as a first objectivity of this particular policy, but also to strengthen the enhancement of those resources while conserving them. So this is what the common objectivity of the national policy on environment is all about. Let us proceed further, and once we are talking about this particular discussion, let us proceed into the quest of conservation of critical environmental resources. So though we have talked about those objectivities in very detailed manner, but here we would like to take certain examples while we are discussing these objectivity. While conserving the environment resources at a critical level, it is the ecological system, the resources, invaluable nature and man-made heritage which are essential for life support, livelihood and economic growth, and a broad concept of well-being of human beings. Therefore, every phenomena in terms of critical conservation is required of such important vulnerable resources. Intra-generation equity, as we have talked about, it is to ensure about the equitable access of environmental resources and quality of all sections of society, and the particular masses to be ensured that poor communities, which are the most dependent on environmental resources for their livelihood, are assured secure access their resources. So we have discussed in detail, therefore there is no need, or there is not much need for discussing it again. Therefore, I am reading it or repeating it in a quick section. Intergenerational equity, it is to ensure judicious use of environmental resources to meet need and aspiration of the present future generation. Whenever we talk about non-equitable generational uses, or if we are not procuring our resources for the forthcoming future requirement, our present uses tendency needs to be deliberately decided onto those future usage for policies only. Therefore, only we can be able to preserve those resources. Next is to integrate the environmental concern with economy and social development or social concern without making the social policies or economical policies into the quest, or without understanding the environment, the propagation will be the whole sum of failure. Though we'll talk about social development, but that won't be sustainable. Though we'll talk about economical development, but that is not fruitful, because it is not going to be treated into the quest of the environment. Therefore, it is an important point. efficiency of environmental resources. It needs to be ensured that the resources in the sense of reduction in their use per unit of economy output. So it is to minimize adverse economic impact. Whenever we are going to use any resource like anything, there is a scarcity of that resource. Especially in the quest of tourism, we must understand that tourism is only providing an opportunity for taking a lot of good things from the environment. But I'm sorry to tell, by the name of tourism, we are not contributing a lot to the tourism. That is what the national policy on environment, especially this particular objective, this particular point, talks a lot about efficiency in the environmental uses of the resources. Governance, as we have talked about, that total transparency in terms of government accountability, in terms of state, in terms of proper usage, distribution, rationality, accountability, reduction in time cost, participation and regulation, in dependency of environmental regulation needs to be a matter of time. Therefore, policy allows that to be there in the policy. It also talks about enhancement of sources for environmental conservation. We need to enhance the resource. How do we can enhance the resource? Until we don't have the higher resource flow comprising the finance, technology or managerial skills or traditional knowledge, likewise our ancestors or forefathers having, the social capital or the environmental conservation through mutually benefit stakeholder partnerships may not be ensured. Let me give you a very simple example. Whenever we keep talking about the enhancement of resources, enhancement of any resources may only be ensured by the total or absolute local community participation, public agencies and academic and research communities, investors and multidimensional bilateral partnerships at the end for their own sake or development. Now, after completing this particular aspect, we are going to talk about the principles of this particular policy, by which this policy or national policy on environment 2006 was based upon. I thought these are the core principle any national policy or any international policy on the environment needs to be retained with. So since our syllabus doesn't allow us to talk it in such a detail, it is only a 2-credit subject. But of course, though it is a 2-credit subject, we'll be able to talk about that, and then only we will be able to complete this particular topic. So let us talk about those principles. First of all, this policy talks about human beings are the center of sustainable development centers. Now, if it is not to be followed, this principle not to be followed, what all are going to be the circumstances? Students, we need to understand that human beings or human intervention is one of the important role to be played for any environment, because human beings are the key actor, which is to protect the environment, to conserve the environment, or they dilute the environment in a pollutant or certain negative manner. Therefore, any policy on national policy on environment needs to ensure the centrifugal role of human being as a sustainable development concern. Then we need to also talk about in principle that the policy needs to talk about right of development. Then the right of development is not only belongs to us, it is belongs to the nature, it is also belongs to the resources, it is also belongs to flora, fauna, biodiversity, wildlife, animal beings, and so on. The local communities, those are pro-environment. And therefore, right of development is such a development phenomena or principle which ensures the multi-dimensional development, but ensuring least negative impact on the environment. Next principle is environmental protection is an integral part of the development process. Whenever we keep talking about development, development is a process, it's an ongoing process. Whenever we used to talk about development, we must ensure that this process of development may not got any harm to the environment, or environment protection needs to be ensured at every level, because environmental concerns are more important than that of anything or everything, because at the end, whole sum of economy, whole sum of society is dependent on the environment or the byproducts of the environment. Then the next principle which our policymakers had considered, that is precautionary approaches. We need to consider ourselves as the environment friendly people. We need to ensure the upgradation of the environment, and therefore our primary role is to have the precautionary approach. Development needs to be ensured, growth needs to be ensured, productivity needs to be ensured, but our approach needs to be precautions based, and we need to indulge in such activities where we are least impacting environment as far as negativity of environment is concerned. It also talks about economic efficiency. Any policy doesn't have got anything with the low economy, anything which is related to economic efficiency, but it needs to be sustainable. It also talks about the incomparable values. There are certain values, those are incomparable. They cannot be compared from one phase of area to another phase of area. Let me quote you an example in this principle. For example, whenever we talk about the sustainability aspects at the geographical place A and geographical place B and C are quite different than that of A, B and C. Reason being, this is incomparable values, because every demography, every geography, every political area, or every entropy, or every thermodynamics, or every entity of thermodynamics at the planet Earth have got different incomparable values in terms of environmental sustainability. It also needs to be talked about equity, as we have talked about equity in terms of environment, society, economy, and definitely environment for all of us. It is legally liable for everyone or anyone, mainly the human being. It is to be talked about maintaining the public trust doctrine. Anything as a policy, it is not worthy until unless we are having the trust in the public. And if, of course, we are talking about as an academician or as a student into the field of tourism, we may state any policy document may not have any impact on society positively until unless it has got a lot of good trust of the public. Therefore, the documents needs to be principally designed such way where public or masses or communities have got the direct benefit. By those benefits, that trust may be ensured. Decentralization is required because it is a national policy. India have got the kind of nature where we are having union and states, and governance has been derived in three levels: one at the local level, second as the state level, and first one is the central level. So decentralization for this particular policy's implementation is required, and therefore in principle decentralization is requisite at every level or any level. Integration is also required. Likewise, decentralization is required at the third, second, and the first level of the government. Then that is any level, it needs to require a proper integration, because without any integration as a whole, the policy draft is null and void. And therefore, from local authorities to state authorities, or state authorities to local authorities, or vice versa, to relate to state to central, or central to the local authorities, needs to have the proper integration. It is not only about the authorities, it is also about the communities, economy to society, society to environment, vice versa. It have got a lot of huge, there should not be any gap in terms of integrity. Last 2 points, which are the core principles of such important national policy. One is environmental standard setting. There are certain standards to be set for the environment. Otherwise, any policy document is waste. If we talk about national policy for the environmental upgradation, we need to set certain standards for the environment. Otherwise, anything or everything that we are making throughout the country, population in the country like 130 crore people, and there are 28 plus some union territories, states plus union territories, and there are different places by the name of the contribution of the wholesome of the seasons and climates are different, and therefore environmental standards needs to be set for the working capacity, for the industry, for the academia, for wholesome of the population, and then the common routine of the human being. Environmental standards are the key part of any principle related to policy document. And then preventive actions, what we need not to do. What all are certain measures which are prescribed and don't do. This may be related to the hunting or certain acts which are heinous, abducting certain thing which is called nature as the aspect which is not related to that. So after completion of these two video sessions, one is very small, and then the second one, objectivity and the principles. We have talked enough about this particular topic, but let me remind about what is the national policy of environmental capacity. Any policy document which states on a or the union or statement for the country is accepting certain norms, creating certain common understanding on the environmental aspects as a whole. Environment is definitely a responsibility for all of us, especially environmental conservation, preservation for environment and ecological system, and to subsidize those actions which are negative on the environment. And that is what the key essence of national policy of environment is all about. So with this session, we have learned a lot more good things. Hope you like this session, and I guess after completing this particular session here, we are going to say good night. Thank you so much.